Hi YouTube, welcome to this week's edition of MB's EDC Confidential with John, aka Thrifty Kniffy or TK. I'm sure if you subscribe to me, I'm sure you're already subscribed to TK because he's got way more subscribers than me. So a big thanks to John for joining us for this evening. Well, or this afternoon for you, John, I think, yeah?
Right. It's early evening.
That's great.
Right about 5 o'clock. But it's good to be on the show, Mark. Appreciate you bringing me on.
No. I really appreciate you coming as well. And this is the fourth one of these. I really enjoy it anyway because it's great just to have a chat. The difficulty for me is not talking too much because it's not really about me. It's more about you. But we'll see how it goes. So, shall we start with a pocket check? So, what are you carrying today, John?
Okay, well, typically this is a typical day carry for me. The two-pocketed leather, little pouch that I have here. I always put the O-Light pin here in the middle. This is an O pin, just a miniature size pin. So it's kind of short and stubby and does well in the pocket. And then on this side, I have a recent acquisition. This was actually gifted to me from Slippy, Slip Joint Sawyer, Matt. And anybody who's familiar with my channel probably knows who Matt is. But this is the Pioneer X A-locks design. You got the 3-layer style A-locks. And it's just been super nice to carry. He kind of insisted that I carry this one. That was, after so many of them, I just kind of tuck away in the drawer, and I don't want to mess them up. And the A-locks are really sensitive when you buy the ones with the colored handles. They will chip the paint away, or not paint, but the anodizing. And so this silver one, you don't have to worry about that as much. So this is a nice little carry. And then this one I just started carrying, I would say yesterday. And this is a knife I've had quite a long time. It's just a yellow sodbuster from Fox out of Italy. They OEM most of their knives.
Right.
But this particular one is actually made by Fox. And it's just a smaller sodbuster junior style design. A little unique in that it's encompassed inside the handle there. You don't have the exposed springs.
Oh, that's a bit odd, isn't it? It looks like a banana.
It's a little different. You can see how they've done that.
Yeah.
It's just encapsulated in the handle there. And then you've got the bird's eye pivot, of course.
Yeah.
But just an inox blade, rust-free blade, nothing special, just a little work knife. And I've been carrying for that for the last couple of days. But everything fits pretty nicely in this pouch. Pouch is made by a company or outfit called Hide and Drink.
Yeah.
And they're out of Guatemala. And you can get this stuff pretty readily on Amazon here in the United States. And it's just a very supple leather. You can kind of see that you can see how it's starting to kind of smooth out on the sides there. And just very comfortable in the pocket. It doesn't have any hard edges or anything like that. And quite pliable. So, it just kind of bends where it needs to bend in your pocket. And I've just been really satisfied with this style carry for quite some time. And, during the winter months, I'll wear jeans mostly, and we'll have typically a 5th pocket knife on me. But, it's way too warm for that right now.
You're into summer carry already, are you?
Yeah, well, it's May. It's probably in the mid 80s outside right now. It's much too warm for, I don't know what that converts to in Celsius.
I know that 82 is 28 because they reverse.
Okay. So it's slightly more than that today.
Yeah.
And
but it's more in the late 60s or early 70s here. I'm not good at doing the conversion.
I don't know it through my top of my head because it doesn't take much, when Celsius to go up quite a number of Fahrenheit. So it's hard to remember how it works out.
Nice carry though, and it's really interesting because my sort of weekly carry is fairly similar.
Quite similar, I'd say. Yeah.
And the Pioneer X, because I really like it because of the scissors, and I don't know why Paddy doesn't get the need for scissors, but I use the scissors most. And what I like about the Pioneer X as well is that the tools are slightly thicker, so the flathead and the knife are slightly thicker than the standard Victorinox
Correct.
knife.
Right.
And
Yeah, we just discussed a little bit about that today with Slippy, because he had just shown an ALOX model with the old Swiss Cross.
yeah,
And they'd actually this was an older Pioneer from like I want to say the late 70s, early 80s, and they actually nicknamed that particular knife the Sturdy Boy. And we
yeah,
were contemplating why that might be. And one of the suggestions that we all came up with was the thickness of the blades being a little more, a
yeah,
little thicker stock than your normal Celador style Victorinox. Yeah. So
yeah, I really like it because it's less bulky than the Celador versions.
yeah, so
I
you
mean
kind of get the best of both worlds, right? You get the slimmer scales and thicker blades rather than the reverse.
yeah, which I really like, and I don't really miss the toothpick and tweezers. I don't tend to use them
You
a
don't
lot.
find you'd use that, yeah.
I've been gardening a lot today, so the only thing I've carried today really has been this, which is the Hercules, and it's a blade bridge special, so it's super sharp. It's sort of one of the ones that he's refurbished. You can tell it's quite old because it's got the older lock built in here.
Right.
It's 111 mil, so it's too big, and the locking means I can't normally carry it. But
Right.
I've been working in the garden and in some a piece of ground that my daughter-in-law uses. We've been doing some helping her out with some weeding and stuff. Do you have any Victorinox of this size?
I don't have any of the locking style that you're showing there, except for in Wenger.
Yeah.
And I don't have any in that size. Like the largest ones that I have are the 93 millimeter. It's not really it's just not really my size. That size gets to be where I'd prefer to carry a smaller knife. Unless you were going to carry in the back pocket. But not to knock the quality of them, because I'm sure they're fantastic. It's just it starts getting the size where I'm less favorable to carrying it.
Yeah, especially in the summer with shorts and things, I guess, as well. So yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. Let's so how long have you been creating videos for YouTube?
Well, I started I believe my first video was in August of 2021.
Right.
And I just haven't looked back since. I've been making them continuously, with the exception of a month off this last April. Well, pretty much this month. But or the latter part of March. So yeah, that was my first break in since I started the channel. Really, any kind of a formative break. And now I'm back at it. So yep, I'm back at it. So for I guess now basically 3 years.
So how many videos have you amassed?
I don't know. I really haven't. I want to say there's probably 425, somewhere in that vicinity.
Okay.
Something like that. So yeah, I don't do as much content as some people. I try to have at least one new video a week and shoot for 3. I mean, that would be my ideal if I could do 3, but that just never seems to happen.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've managed 2, I think. I think I'm probably averaging 1 video and a short each week.
Right.
I don't really understand shorts yet, though. I'm just.
I mean, they've got their appeal for certain things, but I've had a hard time kind of contemplating what way to shoot a knife video in a way that is interesting in a short format. So I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. I just haven't come across a way in my thoughts of how to accomplish that successfully. So I'm still tinkering with the idea. I just don't know how exactly I want to approach it. I don't want to do just the normal, you have like a music playing in the background and you give a quick look at it. I want to do something a little different. So
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
someday that'll be more of a thing for me. But
Yeah.
if I'm gonna have to edit a video, I might as well be making a longer format video.
That's my thought, and I've got subscribers through Shorts, but I
Mhm.
don't think they're the right sort of subscribers, and I don't think they watch the long form. So
Mhm.
because it's so easy because people are scrolling through, aren't they, with the Shorts, and then
Yeah.
they just happen to end up watching yours for some reason.
Right.
You've got something there which has triggered them to stop scrolling and to watch. Um,
Yeah,
so
and I would say also this is like, their demographic for probably both of our channels is one for people 35, 45 or older.
oh, easily.
And I don't know that they're as enamored with shorts as maybe the younger crowd. So
Yeah,
I
I've
suppose if you wanted to reach the younger crowd and that was your aim, that would be a good way to do it. But I think our kind of our core base is probably 40 plus. So
I think so. Even when I had a faceless video, well, most of mine are faceless, and even then, I think the demographics were pretty much 40s and above,
yeah,
which I guess is age appropriate for me. So that's
yeah.
it's not, and I probably haven't got much to say to younger people
Well,
as I find out at home. So
I
that's
mean, there's a reason I picked Slippy. He kind of
mm,
is sort of in the lower age range of the people that are as
yeah,
wacky about this stuff as we are, and so to me that was just like a particularly uh, uh, intentional idea was to have
yeah.
someone younger than myself sort
I
of
think it makes it more
fill the gap.
interesting with the age gap, the
Yeah,
dynamic, and
yeah. We're about well, he was born in 91, so
yeah,
we're approximately 20 years apart. So there's a
he's the
full generation there.
yeah, exactly. He's the same age as my younger son. So
Yeah,
I have two sons in their 30s, and he's the same age as the
right.
younger one. So which just makes me feel really old. But
No, well, he makes me feel older all the time, but uh, he does so not just with uh, his habits, but just speaking straightforward and telling me so. So he makes sure I know every day.
yeah,
He'll
yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's the curse of getting older. I think I was exactly the same with people that I work with. That there was one guy that started his role with. I used to work for Cadbury's. He started with Cadbury's the year I was born, and I used to let him know that all the time.
all right.
And now I'm one of the old men in the
Yeah,
office where I work now. So what goes around comes around, and
absolutely.
age gets to all of us. So you started in 2021. So what inspired you to start your own YouTube channel?
Well, man, I had contemplated it for years. It
Yeah.
wasn't a new idea. It was I I hesitate to tell you people this because they're going to go out and try to find it. But there was about 3 videos that I made about 6 years prior to that, and it was an idea that it kind of began to just percolate and percolate.
Yeah.
Uh, but they weren't knife related. It was completely another hobby that I had. And I'm not going to say what it is because those videos are absolutely wretched. And that account I can't
Oh,
get
but
access to. I can't get access to delete them
oh,
because I've
really?
forgotten. I don't know have the password information anymore. I don't know how to get to it. So they'll remain up there for perpetuity. And there's nothing I can do about it. But
But it was
if
under a
anybody
different.
uncovers it in the knife community, it'll be a hoot because everybody be like, look at Thrifty, look at
Oh,
this
this
idiot.
this could be a challenge. This could be a challenge for
Right.
Mikey or someone.
Well, there's one person that knows, but he's a close friend. Hopefully he won't
Yeah. No, it's
call
fine.
me
I,
out
I
on it.
mean, it's quite a lot when you do your, when you do your first video. Is your first video since you did a knife channel? Is that still up?
Yeah. I've never, I've never not, I've never taken anything down once it
Yeah.
was up. Yeah. So everything is there to see. It's the whole progression.
Yeah.
But the idea had been percolating forever, and I just didn't have the medium. I didn't know what I wanted, what kind of channel I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then when the idea of knives was a thing, it just seemed like a really good topic for discussion, because it can be so diverse in the things that you like and other people that like knives like, that you really never get tired of hearing other people's opinions on it.
Because I guess that sort of links. So I've just gone on to the next question, which is, so how did you decide on that topic or niche? Were you a collector
Yeah,
already?
yeah. I mean, the idea for the YouTube channel came before I even started collecting knives. So
Okay.
the 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 hobby just sort of transferred itself into the videos, because I was like, yeah, I want to share this with people. So
Yeah.
yeah, the idea for the channel was already a seed. And then well, there was a summer trip that I went on in 21. It was maybe about May, so about 3 years ago exactly this time of year. And I went to Smoky Mountain White Works, and that's when I really bought a knife for the first time as an adult, where
Right. Yeah.
I didn't need one, but I wanted one. So,
Yeah.
I already had some working knives. I didn't need to buy one, but I'm
Yeah.
like, here in this huge store, how am I gonna walk out of here without buying some stuff? So I think I bought like 3 knives, 1 case, 1 Rough Rider, and one other knife that escapes me now.
Yeah.
But then on that trip, I went to other places and bought knives as well. So I ended up bringing home probably about 6 or 7 knives. I know I bought a Victorinox Huntsman at that point.
Yeah.
That was like
Yeah.
my first true Victorinox. I had bought, I think I'd had other cheaper like knockoffs or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that in the past. But yeah, that was my first like legitimate Victorinox. And yeah, so I know the other knife was now. It was the Imperial Barlow. So I had an Imperial Barlow,
Yeah.
the Rough Rider sow belly, which I call the OG, was a white bone sow belly
Yeah.
Rough Rider. And then the case that I bought was the vault pattern at the time, which was a copperhead, 2-bladed copperhead,
Right.
and like amber bone.
Yeah.
So amber jig bone.
And that was where the addiction started then, was it? Was that?
It's just like, yeah, I mean, I couldn't even make it back home. I was just hooked at that point.
Yeah.
And like I said, I came back home with like 6, 7 knives already. And then I discovered, Chicago Knife Works as a internet retailer. And I think within probably a couple of months, I'd bought like a $400 order to unbox for the channel. So there's that on there. At some point I did that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just never stopped. So
Yeah.
just really enjoyed it.
So okay, so you were sort of, it seemed to grow both together then, both you having a channel and
Hmm.
sort of collecting knives.
Yeah,
Or is that the sort of the excuse, you think?
well, no, I mean, I was going to buy knives regardless if I had a channel
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
But it just made for, like I said, that perfect medium to,
Yeah.
I didn't have to show my face, because initially that was not something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But after, I don't know, I guess after a while, it was like, the anxiety had gone away. Wasn't really worried about people seeing me. And I just felt like the videos would be better suited, at least with lives and other experiences like that. Because if you go back and watch like some of the first appearances I make on RJ, I'm camera down. And I was like, this is stupid. Why am I the only one not showing their
Right.
face?
Yeah. Yeah. That would seem odd.
Right. So that was like, yeah, that was a no-go at that point. So yeah, it was time to reveal.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, I continue to make all the other content, face down, because really, as long as people know who they're, once I'd show my face, it was like,
Yeah.
there was no point to have to show it during a review. People knew what I looked like. If they wanted to know, they could go find it.
Yeah. I think it's just the complexity of having a forward camera and a downward camera. So that I would have
Yeah,
to have
I've just
two
never
twice.
thought that, when you're doing a review that to show it in this manner was the best way to do it. You
Yeah,
don't get good close-ups. It's odd looking forward and back.
yeah,
You're fumbling with the knife down here to open it, and then you have to bring it back up. You can do all that, on a desktop format much
yeah,
better. Downward view just makes
yeah,
a lot more sense. You got the mat for dimension, all that
yeah,
sort of thing. It's like if I hold this up, it's tough to say, okay, well, how big is that?
yeah,
It's hard
yeah.
to
Because
know,
it
right?
depends on how close it is to the camera and
Right. Your
where.
Yeah,
Yeah,
your perspective changes, and
yeah,
so yeah, that to me is just the better approach. But yeah, I have no problem showing my face. I just yeah, the
yeah.
reviews
I
are
think
better
I
than
think
that
it was
way.
the same for me. I think it was just because it was easier to shoot from above,
Mhm.
and just the complexity. I think I was on Tom Knife Delight's sort of one of his sort of chat recordings, and he was kind enough to have me on there fairly early on. So I
Okay.
sort of showed my face there, and then only really there and Paddy's live, and a couple of things I've done to camera. Um,
Yeah, I remember watching the Tom thing. That was
yeah,
yeah, that was the first time I'd seen you. So I definitely remember that.
yeah,
And but Tom did a very similar style format to this.
yeah,
Um, just a little chat that he did. But
yeah. So yeah, I've
that's Knife Delights, by the way, for anybody who's wondering who Tom
yes,
is.
yeah, yeah. Tom of Knife Delights. I prefer Tom. I'm always slightly scared of Junior when Junior comes out.
Uh, Nobody likes Junior showing.
So, how do you come up with the ideas for your videos?
Um, Basically, it's easily decided for me because I either get like something sent to me. I'm very fortunate to have a lot of friends in the community that will send me things, viewers and other channel members, or so that makes it pretty simple. So you just show whatever they happen to send you.
Yeah,
But the ones that just the knives that I buy, I try to show, good percentage of them. I will say that there's times when I bought things that have been somewhat disappointing, and rather than make something negative, I'd rather be positive on the videos. I just won't show it. Um,
yeah,
so every time you watch, a thrifty review, 99% of the time it's going to be positive. Um, and I can really only think of one video where I was pretty negative towards the knife, and that was because I was pretty shocked. It was a Kershaw Culpeper, and the blade length was probably, I don't know, 3¼ inches, fairly large blade,
yeah,
and the pull on it was just so weak that it was never a knife I would want to use because there's just no confidence in the use of it. You would just feel very threatened by it closing on you all the time, and
yeah,
that was to me is like, why make a knife like that doesn't have the pull strength to use it with any confidence.
yeah,
But and it may have just been a one-off. It may, I know there's others, or they may have changed it because they made several variations of this particular knife over time, so they may have improved the design some. I don't know, but the example that I had was not up to snuff. So I would
yeah.
say that's probably my most negative review of all time. It just one sticks out,
So,
but
so you haven't gone down the route of chasing, um, chasing sort of views by
no, I don't want to ever do that, because to me, like, you may have a video like that where you get a considerable bump in views.
yeah,
But what are you doing to your audience there? I mean, that's not to me honest way to go about it, and I feel like um, it's not sustainable either.
yeah,
You're not going to continue to get large views from just thrashing things all the time. You know, there's only so much negativity that I would like to ever put into my channel. So try to remain positive. That's just one of the keys to me of sustainability for the channel. Review things you like, and then infrequently you'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
And
I think I've had a couple where there's been something which hasn't been good, but I sort of picked it deliberately to see what it was going to be like a $1.50 utility knife, and I was shocked that it wasn't just not good quality; it was dangerous because it folded, but it could just open up really easily. There was a lock when it was opened, so when you opened it up, but there wasn't one to keep it closed. So, and it had a clip, so if you did put it in your pocket, there was a risk it would open up and slice through your pocket or your leg. So I think that was probably one of the negative ones I did, but I thought that was useful as a warning. You seem to have drifted out of focus a bit there.
Yeah, it does that. My camera is a little wonky at times.
Do you use a camera or a phone?
I use a camera.
Yeah. I started off using a camera, and it was a nice one lent to me by my son, but then I had some issues with it, with sort of shake, that ruined a few lots of video footage I took. So I've switched to a phone now, which and the quality is as good as the camera most time. But
there we go. I don't know why it does the things it does. It has a mind of its own.
Yeah, and okay, so most of your ideas for videos come from knives that you've bought or been sent, and
100%. Just
I found that amazing with the community, that I hadn't been doing this for that long, and I got into one of the through the Discord group, I got into one of the UK traveling knife series, and Paddy was sending around this Jack Wolf knife, and I was just I was so nervous of sending it on to the next person and making sure it got there, because it was a, I don't know, $400 knife. So I've been a bit nervous with some of those. I was with Judd's academic that was being sent round. I don't know if you saw that, the Joe LaPietra folder.
I think I saw that one. No,
it's probably a bit modern for you now because you're more into traditionals, but this was it's one of the makers that Paddy's sort of been promoting, and now it's on sale in the UK. It's a Canadian guy, and so this was Judd's knife that's being sent round, and I was nervous as well. As long as I can get it onto the next person and they get it safe and sound, I'm sort of happy with that. But
yeah, I'm right in the phase of doing a review for, I don't have it with me right here. It should have been here, but it's a traveling knife just got sent to me on Friday, so I haven't had a chance to review it yet, but same idea. Just getting passed around from reviewer to viewer. So that'll be an upcoming review when I get a chance to do that one. Fox. Here we go.
Oh, cool.
You see that? The Nata.
Oh, that's quite nice. I like that.
Yeah, Fox Nata.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we're going to be taking a look at that.
Right.
It's actually a German issue Navy knife.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
So take a look at that, and so props to Terrell Schneider for sending that around.
Yeah.
And
I only sent one knife round, and that was one that Retro Strew sent to me, that he gave me. He won it in one of I think it was in one of your giveaways. It was one of Slippy's one, and it was a real steel Barlow, the RB6, and Slippy's So Stu sent it to me.
RB5, I think it is RB5.
And so I sent it around, and then it got stuck with Gus for a bit. I think Gus just forgot who had sent it or something, and then I sort of reminded him, saying, "Oh, have you still got it, Gus? Is it?" And then And then he sent it on, which is good. But I know Gus has had some health problems, and I think we're not quite sure how he is now. So it'd be good to find out.
Yeah, he kind of mentioned that it might be a bit before he was back, so I'm wishing him well. Yeah,
Yeah,
really
I hope
enjoyed
so.
it.
I hope so. Because
One,
I mean,
one of one of my favorite reviewers, honestly. He just has so much energy and positivity to
yeah,
all the reviews that he does.
I have a few people that when their video drops, I watch it straight away,
Yeah.
and Gus is one of those. There's a couple of others as well, but and in fact, he was one of the few knife reviewers that I watched prior to doing videos myself. I hadn't
Mhm.
watched many because, well, the clues in my title. I tend to do more sort of EDC
EDC,
stuff,
all
or
right,
well, that was the intention. I
right.
sort of got sidetracked a bit. So next question then. So of your videos that you've done, so 400 or so, which one is your favorite or the one you're most
Oh
proud
boy,
of?
there's probably a couple, but the one I kind of just basically defer to is a video for the TL29 electrician's knife.
Right.
Um, I really went back and did a lot of history on it, recorded a lot of the dialogue um, as a script. I mean,
Ah, right.
this was, this was not off the cuff.
Yeah.
This was, more of in a professional type manner. Did it in that
So
way.
so are you telling me, John, that your videos aren't normally scripted then? Is that
100% not. No, no.
so?
About all I ever do for any particular video, and I don't do it for all of them, is just make like a couple of notes about things that I think I might forget.
Yeah.
So if I've done a video on a knife that I'm really familiar with, I'm never going to write anything down before I just go, hello, everyone. Welcome to Thrifty Kniffy. And boom, I go into it.
Yeah.
So with the TL29 video, I wrote about 2.5 pages of text,
Cool.
and it took me about 6 takes to get all of it read without any hiccups, and then put the dialogue behind the images. And
Yeah.
so, it was about as professional a production as you're going to see me do. It took a long time to do it, and um, I don't think that there's really any advantage in doing that unless you were going to do it every episode,
Yeah.
because one or two times doing that is not going to change I guess, the sort of opinion of your channel. It's not going to it's not going to change it dramatically, like, oh, he does this particular kind of video. And I knew it was going to be more of a one-off, or
Yeah.
maybe like a 5-off type thing where I might do it every 6 months or every year or something. It was never going
Yeah.
to be the main style that I used, but I'm proud of that one just because I got to do something a little different, you know.
Yeah.
But
It's nice
outside
to
of
do
that,
that.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I
It's nice to do that sometimes, isn't it? Just to
Yeah.
do it a bit different. I think I did some research for the I think it was shown today, the Frontier Stockman. I think that Slippy has now. I think that was a pass around
All
before it
right.
got to Slippy. And I
Yeah.
went back and did some research into
I think I've actually gifted him that very knife, or one very, very similar to it.
yeah,
Um, they're quite nice range of knives. I've still planned to do a larger episode on that, where
yeah,
I've kind of collected about, I don't know, maybe between 8 to 10 of them.
yeah,
And so I have, like a nice sort of array of different styles that they made.
yeah.
Came in like 4 different handle materials. And so that'll be an upcoming, more episode, more like what I just mentioned. It'll be more of a,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, because the have you seen the catalogs online?
yeah, I
There's
have.
a lot of
Mhm.
material on that sort of Schrade
Right.
site.
Yeah.
And that I went to there and I was looking at stuff. It was almost like one of Steel City Knives videos, but not. I
Mhm.
don't quite have his passion. I think for some of the Sheffield knives, but
Yeah. I'll just give you an example. Like there's the larger in yellow.
yeah, yeah,
And then you have black, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the ivory. And then the final color
Then
that
there's
they had was the jig
yeah.
bone. So all of these are the exact same pattern.
Yeah.
They're the larger Stockman. So that's the only one that I bought all 4 of, but I have others. So I just figured, you know, I would select one of the Frontier that I would have all 4 color variation,
Yeah.
and then just sort of an array of other patterns, just to kind of have a good way of, you know, talking about each of them. But really like that series, just because I think they're very well they're sort of under the radar, because they're made by Camillus,
Yeah.
right? And Camillus was good enough to have made buck knives when buck knives couldn't make multi-bladed slip joints. So they turned to them, and Camillus OEM'd them. So for, you know, Imperial, which was known as more of a budget brand, built, you know, below a tier below Schrade,
Yeah.
they did actually put out a product line that at that point in time that was superior than most of the stuff they were making.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything they were making, really.
Okay, we'll look out for that one then when it's so that's an idea of a video in the making then, is it?
Absolutely is, yeah.
Great. And what are the main challenges you face as a creator on YouTube?
Time,
Yeah.
family, find the opportunity to sit down in a quiet space and be able to capture your thoughts, you know. Sometimes you're not feeling creative. That can impede. I have mental blocks sometimes. Sometimes I'm
Yeah.
just absolutely exhausted. So my voice will change. It goes down about 3 registers, and I sound like Wolfman Jack. And I don't want people hearing that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's a DJ.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, there's just a lot of reasons why I can make excuse not to make a video sometimes. So that to me is just the biggest obstacle is myself, I suppose.
Yeah. I think it's quite hard as a single creator, because I know there are a lot of people that work with other people. And
Mhm.
I guess that's one of the benefits you have with the live shows, that you're working with Slippy.
Right.
So do you find that helps sort of motivate you more for that?
Yeah, it does have keep me kind of in the loop. He's, you know, got his eyes open to certain things, and then he fills me in and I fill him in. So the collaboration of being
Yeah.
able to share the new things that have come out, or just ideas, is very, very useful
Yeah.
for staying on top of the topic. You can't always do all the research yourself. You know, sometimes it's easier to collaborate in that way. To me, that's one of the benefits of having Slippy and
Yeah.
I. We're constantly discussing that sort of stuff, and it's just been fantastic working with him. He's just such a character, and
Yeah.
we just mesh well. Our personalities fit one another. So I'm very lucky. I feel very fortunate to have you know, started working with him. I mean, I chose him to work with, but never would have known that it would have worked out as well as it did, you know. Just
Because I guess that would have been around about a year ago, was it? Give or take. Maybe a bit earlier.
well, I don't even know. He had been commenting on my channel for quite some time,
Yeah.
and when he had decided to do his own channel, that I was excited for that. I was excited
Yeah.
for him to do that, and then I was like, well, if he's going to be making content, maybe he'd be interested in taking that a step further. So,
Yeah.
but
So
I don't
you
remember
didn't
the
have a
exact
live
time.
show before Slippy joined. That was
Well, I had been on RJ, and
yeah, yeah.
I pretty much just let my appearances rest to that.
Yeah.
I had done a couple of interviews similar to what we're doing here.
Yeah.
I did one with Tom. I did one with RJ. I did one with Jo Ventures. I did one with Ray.
Yeah.
I've done a couple others.
Yeah.
Jersey Knife Guy. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I did just sort of an interview show that was recorded, but never. That was as close to the live format that I really done. I'd done some live reviews as well, where
Right.
I just would randomly come on, and I didn't like tell anyone in advance. It was just sort of spontaneous. As I was going to be doing a normal video rather than
Yeah.
recorded it, I just broadcasted it. So
Okay.
that was that's a little bit more difficult to do because when you don't have anything prepared to say, but you're recording, you can always start over. With a live thing, it's like, oh, you're on the spot, boom, you got to get it right, So
Yeah.
that was always a little nerve wracking, but they worked out okay. They got quite a number of views, and we had a lot of fun doing them. And I took viewer questions and that sort of thing, and so there was a period there where I was doing just live reviews. But I think I
I
prefer
would be scared that nobody would come on, and I'd just be,
talking to yourself.
no
Well, the
yeah,
thing is like even if no one came, it would just be a video, and it would
yeah,
just be a
yeah.
review, and it's rewatchable. There's no reason for people not to watch it. So
Oh,
yeah.
I could maybe try that. I might give that a try. Yeah, I'd like to try some lives, but it's just working out how to do it.
Yeah. But, just the thing is if you mess up, you're going to look like, look like an ass.
Yeah. That's the worst thing. And once you
Yeah.
get used to that, that's
Yeah. But once you get to the point where you don't care that you look like an ass, then things become a lot more. You don't mess
yeah,
up as much, really, because it's mental, most of
yeah.
it. When you're apprehensive, that's when you're going to make mistakes. When you're just, who cares?
Yeah. If I get nervous, that's when I start erring and umming a
Right.
lot. And
Exactly.
when I was little, then I had a stutter, and
Hmm.
sometimes that can come back under pressure, but not very often.
Right.
If I'm confident about something, then I don't err and much. But if I'm not so confident, then it starts to sort of creep in.
Right.
That's why I try and be fairly prepared. But I don't have a script, but I sort of have a mind map with the key things that I want to cover, and
100%.
especially anything to do with measurements. I'm not good at
Right.
remembering numbers, so, and especially
Right.
when I'm trying to give it in metric and then in imperial for most of my viewers that are from the US, so ounces and inches and
Yeah.
and stuff. But yeah, so
I caught some flack for not putting measurements in millimeters, and I just basically said, well, just do what I would have to do, go convert it over.
yeah, well I wouldn't if it wasn't for the fact that probably I think it's at least 2/3, on the stats, but I think it's probably more based
Hmm.
on people that are buying stuff, from
Yeah.
Amazon, because I put some affiliate links on. That's like 98% of people that buy stuff are from the US. And
Hmm.
I don't know if it's just because British people are more tight and don't and don't and
Yeah.
don't do that, or if it's just linked to viewers. But so
Well,
so I always try and make it as much as possible to do for both. So because I think it's more informative, but that's just me and just
yeah.
hoping to
As
really.
far as just like for any like newcomer coming to do the YouTube thing, it doesn't have to be knives; it could be anything.
Yeah,
Just know that familiarity breeds comfortability, and
yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't want to say my videos are formulaic, but they're done in such a fashion that I have a set of things that I'm gonna say about every knife, and then
yeah,
leave myself space to have an opinion about this or that, or how this thing might be different from other things I've seen, or
yeah,
what's unique about this particular knife, or characteristics that I really enjoy and want to kind of highlight. So
yeah,
there's always room there to have each video have its own sort of unique personality in a way. But
yeah,
at the same time, you also have, the basics. This is
yeah,
spear point blade. This is, this length. This is two bladed. This is three bladed. This is, so you're going to have certain things that you're repeating, but you don't want it to become repetitive. That makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. Yeah, no, I've found one of the things about doing knife reviews, and I'm not sure I'm that good at it, but it does, as you work your way around the knife, it sort of helps you. There is some structure there, isn't there? And
Yeah.
I've learned some of the terms, as I probably said. I didn't know what jimping and swedges and things like
Right.
that were before I started doing this.
Well,
So
this kind of, I mean, this is sort of more formulaic part of my videos, right? You're going to see the packaging.
yeah,
You're going to see the external
yeah,
portions of it, and then I'll point out what those materials are. And if there's something kind of unique, I'll maybe spend a little more time on that. Then we're going to look at each blade.
yeah,
I may or may not measure each blade. If one blade is basically, um, obviously the largest of the blades, I may not
yeah,
measure all the smaller blades just because you have a reference there. Plus, at the
yeah.
end of my videos, I always tend to point to take a photo of the knife on the inched grid so that you have an opportunity to read that for
Okay.
yourself,
Yeah, yeah,
and also always put one on the scale so you'll know the weight. So
yeah,
even if I don't mention it, if you're patient enough to make it through the slideshow, that information is there for you if you want it. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
it takes a lot of the stress off of like, oh, did I say that?
yeah,
Because I know I've covered myself with the photos, right?
yeah,
I may not intentionally not measure the secondary blade, but if I don't, then it's
yeah,
there.
yeah. So that's good. That's a good structure, and people
Mm-hmm.
have some familiarity between your videos, which I think is
Right.
good as well.
Yeah.
So what do you like most about your YouTube experience?
Meeting the people has been the
Yeah,
number one surprise. When I started the channel, I wasn't thinking about meeting Jersey Knife Guy. I wasn't thinking about meeting Patty Potato Peeler. These guys were like, in the clouds for me. It was like,
yeah,
um, I'm just some peon, and I'm gonna try to make a go of this, and hopefully people will watch.
yeah,
So now 3 years later, I'm on a first name basis with these people. So
yeah,
it's just you never would have thought that when you started. And I've just met so many great people through Discord, Matt.
yeah,
That relationship's been amazing. I mean, we're very close friends now. So I
yeah,
mean, it's they're he and Mikey are going to be coming. Well, that's the plan to
yeah.
Texas Blade Show in 2025. So I'll actually have an opportunity to meet them in person, and
I mean,
that's great.
I have met them at Sharp Show, but
Right.
I hadn't been on Discord quite so much then, and I met Paddy first because he was the obvious person that I'd seen.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit starstruck by that, and obviously Judd was there, and Slippy and Mikey, and then Gadget Gus turned up still with his hospital band on his wrist.
Yeah, it's a crazy
Jeez,
story. That was a crazy story.
and I felt really bad because we were sitting around a table, and Dan from Bladebridge was there, and I think he was going to show me some of his knives, and then Gus turned up, and I probably didn't give Dan much, didn't look at his stuff much because it was all a
Right.
bit much for me then. But that was good. So I hope we have Sharp Show in the UK again this year, and I hope people go. I met Sean there, Naked Sean. He was there, but I only met him briefly.
The fact that that's what you have to call him to identify. Oh, Sean.
I'm sure he's not, but it's just part of the crack in the thing. So yeah, I think that there is an amazing community that I never expected from YouTube, which is interesting. And even where you get people that you don't know but that comment regularly, which is
right.
always.
Yeah, and it's not just me that I've met other people or will meet other people. You see other people who've met people. So like Big J's met up with both Tom and I think Ray as well. I want to say
Yeah.
I know Tom and Ray have met.
Yeah.
So you just like it's amazing to me that these people get to know each other well enough that they would want to do that. And then we have some people who are strictly just commenters. Well, I guess a little bit of a hybrid with like Mike Curtis.
Yeah.
He's done some shorts and things like that, but he always goes to all the case shows in the Southeast. So, you could pretty much just be assured that if you went to one of those, say in Georgia somewhere, and it was a large event, that he's going to be there, and you could pretty much just know, even if you didn't make plans to, that you're going to be able to meet up with people like that. So
yeah,
it's just Yeah, that to me has been the most remarkable part of having the channel.
Yeah. And we've sort of talked about this a little bit, but what are the channels or creators that you really admire?
Oh, well, we mentioned Gus. I really,
Yeah,
really enjoy his reviews. Warthog is another one of my favorites as well.
yeah,
Just so laid back, unassuming,
yeah,
and just, he has just great taste in knives, in my opinion.
yeah,
So is Gus does as well. We just kind of have a mental bond there on the preferences of the knives that we like.
yeah,
So, yeah, there's a lot of similarity there. And now my other favorite would have to be Matt. He does fantastic reviews. Love his Victorinox reviews.
yeah.
He's so thorough and very knowledgeable about all the different, Victorinox knives, which is not easy for me because a lot of them are so similar that I
Yeah,
get them mixed up, you know.
yeah.
And he teases me that I'll put tags on them to help me identify them. And he's like, "You old man," you know.
Oh, your old man tags, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah. So
so,
yeah, he's studied it enough that he can recall without much effort, the different
yeah.
ones. So
I'm okay with the basics, but for some of these more complicated ones, I go on the
mm,
Stack Wiki and
yeah,
yeah,
the more common ones I'm pretty good with, but when you start talking about the retired and discontinueds and
oh
ones they
geez, yeah,
made, maybe a couple of years, and then you get into the Vinger models too, and it's like it's a lot to
yeah.
try to remember.
That's cool.
But
So,
yeah, there's
and I guess some of those were ones that you that you were watching before you started a channel.
Yeah, I would say some of the ones that I really started watching, I don't necessarily watch all that much anymore. Um, I probably don't watch as much of Tobias as I used to.
Yeah,
I had watched more of Williams Knife Life than I do nowadays, but
yeah,
yeah, those channels are interesting to me as well. But I just don't. I mean, it's just sort of. I haven't been able to watch as many channels um, because just the time constraints. I mean,
yeah.
the community has grown um, by leaps and bounds since I started in
Yes,
21.
yeah,
You know, I would say it's at least I would say at least 200% larger than it was whenever I started.
yeah,
So to try to keep up with all the channels, it almost seems disingenuous to try to pick here or there or wherever to do all your viewing. So I've kind of not commented as much because I don't want people to feel left out. I'm just not. I don't want to comment here and then not comment there, or comment here and
yeah,
not comment there. So I try to just randomly hit channels occasionally, keep checking in with them, let them know that I care
yeah,
and that I'm interested in their channel and that they matter.
yeah. I
That's
think
about
it
the
comes
best
back
I
to
can
that
do.
time thing, doesn't it? When you're making videos yourself and family and everything else, then I tend to watch some for a little bit of research and some that there's a few favorites, and
Mhm.
then I cycle through some of the other ones,
Yeah.
um, and especially try and support the ones that have got less views than me, probably just more. I mean, there's there's quite a few of those, but just trying to help out some people as well.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the other thing I've found. People have been good at sort of, I was on Tom's Knife Delights show when I didn't have that many subscribers, and but yeah, so it's it's good to have that as well. And so might have a clue to one of these, but and for EDC,
Mhm.
knives in this case. So, what are your best and worst purchases?
Well, I can tell you the worst because it was intentionally worst. Um, I did a spoof video. It's the only one I've ever done. I bought a dollar 90, or excuse me, the knife was $1.44. It's
Right.
called the Frost Tack Extreme. It was green. Uh, it was just this putrid, ugly color green with a skull on it,
Yeah.
and I just spoofed the knife. You know, I talked about how it was $144 instead of $1.44, and that it had special magical powers, and that you could see into the future with it, all sorts of things. And so that was the worst one, but that was sort of intentional.
That doesn't sound like you at all.
No. But then there was the rare few that I bought that just were really, like I would say defective, but darn close. You could use the knife, but major gaps, blade rub, blades that wouldn't shut. There's been, probably 10, 15 of those that I've had to deal with. Not a lot when you consider the percentages, but say maybe 1.5% maybe. So I wouldn't want to point out any one particular one. That to me is sort of all encompassing. You either want a knife that you want to keep or you don't. And those had to be returned or replaced. I guess the most recent one was the Peanut that I bought from Case. And I just did a review of that. And the first one I got was, pretty gappy.
Yeah.
And you could hold it up to the light, and it was pretty evident that the gaps were quite large, and there was some blade rub. So, I don't want to bash any particular brand, but I get a lot of comments about Case really need to improve their quality control, and I hope that they will. I want people to like Case knives. I do. I like them myself.
Yeah.
I think they have some things that they can improve on. Absolutely. But I'm not gonna bash them. They're an American company. They do some of the best handles that in the business, and they make some wonderful patterns. So,
and they're still traditional knife makers, aren't they? I guess,
absolutely,
in how they put them together.
Yeah, and there's just not a lot of those left. So,
no.
I
guess it's quite hard for them to compete with Rosecraft and GEC for
sure. Well, the main thing is like their production numbers have to be just astronomical, and I know that the QC can't be easy, but then you look at something like Victorinox, so it can be done. I mean, how many bad Victorinox knives or faulty Victorinox knives have you ever purchased? It just doesn't happen, really.
No. I've got my Alox Bantam has a little bit of gapping, but I think most of those do, and I think it's because it's a very thin knife, so I think it's quite hard for that. But I think that's all, and I wouldn't consider that to be a big.
Well, when you consider like the precision of their watches, or Swiss are known for their precision.
Yeah.
It doesn't come as a surprise to me that they make some fantastic knives with multiple blades. Being able to tuck all of this stuff in there and fit it in a way that it doesn't rub. So
yes,
it's just
and that it's pinned and not screwed.
Yeah, and I mean, and you're talking about a knife that is for the most part under $40.
Yeah,
depending on which ones you get, obviously, but for the majority of them, they're $50, $40 under.
Yeah.
So it's not even like the expense. So
yeah. So what about your best purchase then?
My best knife purchase? Wow, that's tough. I gotta say, like when you're opening a knife, or you've received a knife and you're like the most excited, I guess that would be how I would answer the questions. Like, what knife was I most excited to receive?
Yeah.
And that would probably be one that I got from Matt. That was an Ashley. It's a Ashley Harrison custom knife.
Yeah.
There's going to be an update to that particular story, because the one that I received, the handle shrunk and it cracked, so it was sent back to Ashley to have replaced and repaired. Well, repaired, not replaced, repaired, because the only thing wrong with it was the handle.
Yeah.
So that will be, upcoming video. Spoiler alert. Okay. Yeah. So we'll talk more about that particular knife.
So that's...
Yeah. So, but other knives similar in that vein, like excited to receive, probably my custom 110 from Buck, the one with the elk handles.
Yeah.
That's a knife that I just adore. Another was the one that I sent away to have the spa treatment on. The blade was like 3/4 the length it should have been. So sent in for a blade replacement and a spa treatment, and came back to me, and it was fantastic. It's one of my favorite knives now. It's just
That's
It's
a
got
great
a lot of
service that they do, isn't it? So
it's a mix of character because it still has, the dents and the dings, but it's been polished and
yeah,
cleaned and smoothed and with the brand new blade. So it's sort of a mixture of old and new, and it's really unique, in that
yeah, I
fashion.
like that. I like that. I think it's one of the things that I'm not really a knife guy, although I can't keep saying that, I guess, because I only have about 30 something knives, but I have changed in knives that I like, and I am getting more attached to some of the traditional ones as I see them because there is more character in them, isn't it? They're not built by robots. And so they have. I think the minor flaws are the things that make them different and unique. Especially if you use them and build
Right.
up some patina and wear. And I think I try and use most of my knives at some point or another. So
Hmm.
because I'm always a little bit suspicious of some reviewers who have kit that looks brand new and it's not a first, they're saying that it's not a first look. A lot of my reviews are first look reviews where it's just
Right.
arrived.
I would say the
um,
majority of mine are as well.
yeah, but there are
Um,
some people who say, oh no, this I've been using this. It's probably more on EDC, but they say I've been using this stove for so many trips, and you look at it and it's fresh out the box, and I think
right.
there's no point in being like that. But I think it's better when things have some character. If you see my sort of cooking stuff at the back, it's
Yeah.
dinged and I've used it, and it's that's how it should be. That's normal life, isn't it?
Well,
When you
see,
have
that's sort of the deliberation you make as a collector. There's going to be some knives you don't want to use. You
yeah
simply buy them to just have and admire. Um, I'm that way with a lot of my bone handle knives. I don't want to carry them because if I ever dropped them,
yeah
they're a pretty good chance I'm going to chip it or crack at the pin or something like that.
yeah
But that's not to say I've never done that. I do, but it's generally one that's already been used or loved
yeah.
on by someone else.
My first case knife I bought at Sharp Show, and that was one of these sort of like old new ones
Hmm.
that were being sold by that guy. I think we spoke about him today,
Yes.
Rob Cutting, and that's amazing. But it's got this really nice bone, and I wouldn't want to use that and damage that, so I don't use it. Oh, that is amazing. I saw that for sale on one of those for sale on eBay, and I'm sure it was something like $200 or $300.
Yeah. Now this is one that Rob, or getting it
It
mixed
was
up, Patty got from Rob,
yeah.
and
What made Paddy get rid of it? Because it's
I really don't know. I think he probably just wanted to kind of raise some funds for something else that he had
yeah,
wanted.
yeah.
But he didn't really give a specific reason. But I'm just glad that I had the opportunity to jump on it when he did put it
Oh, I
up.
think I think I love the case script,
Yeah.
and
I
it's
just I've always wanted one with that
yeah,
shield.
yeah,
It's just an amazing. Yeah, it's incredible that they could get that shield to lay flat in there. That's incredible craftsmanship.
yeah,
But yeah, I know what you mean. It's just I prefer to have if I was going to buy a really high end quality knife versus one that had been slightly used that I could carry. It's a massive deliberation every time.
yeah,
Like, do I have one similar to that I can carry? That might be why I go with the higher end, like pristine one,
yeah,
right? And if I don't have one like that, and I really want to carry it, then maybe just go for a lower end, a little more beat up one.
yeah.
Like I'll give you a great example of that. So I wanted to buy a case knife that was my birth year,
Ah, okay, yeah, yeah.
but it's from 71. I'm an old man, so it's not going to be cheap
You're not
probably.
as old as me,
Hmm.
John. So don't
Well,
don't
what I'm
worry.
getting at is like it's old enough to be worth quite a bit. And
And vintage, yeah, vintage
if
now,
you
yeah,
if you bought like a new in box pristine
yeah,
71, I can't imagine what you'd have to pay for it.
yeah,
But I got one that was my birth year, but very, very well pocket worn, and it's
yeah.
beat up, and you can see the blade is not straight, and it's been sharpened
That
improperly, and
Been
But
sharpened
it just
badly by the look of it.
yeah, but it just has so much character, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So to me, that was like, yeah, that's like the perfect one to have for a birth year that I can just not ever
yeah,
worry about. And it's got the bone handles, so it's probably not gonna break quite like a bone handle would if I dropped it. So
yeah,
yeah, that's it just sort of depends. Like, what do I already have that when I go to select something to buy like that
yeah.
that
I,
makes
I
the
mean, that's
fits
yeah.
the role of the collection, you know?
I guess that's one of the good things about Victorinox as well, is
Mm,
that well, most of the ones that I buy, they're not too expensive. Um, and so if you lose them or or you damage them when when you're working with them and things, it's not so bad for that.
mhm, right.
Um, and I think that's one of the things that makes them popular as well. So, but
Yeah, well, and it's like there's always going to be a Victorinox for pretty much every need. Um, like I have the Sportsman is a good example of that. So you have a nail file on a Sportsman, but it's very
yeah,
small, compact, great for caking on a carry with you somewhere on a trip
yeah,
because there's nothing worse like going somewhere where you're meeting new people and you've got staunchy nails with
yeah,
hang nails and dirt under your fingers.
yeah,
And you've forgotten because you're in a rush to pack or whatever it is. So you can tidy up, with
yeah.
the traveling knife
As
like
as
that.
long as you're not flying, because that would be the worst thing. Would be to
Yeah.
lose it. I've got a video that I'm planning about my Zippo. Somehow it was in my rucksack that I my work rucksack,
Yeah.
and it's a butane torch one, and the TSAs were really happy to find it,
Right.
and I lost it. I kept the shell. I got
Right.
that back off them, I've had to replace that.
Yeah.
But
Well, I guess I should preface that by saying when you're going on a trip by automobile,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's typically what I do. So I just sort of presume that's what other people are doing. But no, if you're going to the airport, don't take anything you don't want to lose.
I've lost one once. I can't remember which Victorinox it was because it was quite a long time ago, and then I didn't carry knives for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I was so bothered that I'd take my Midnight Manager with me that I have all the time. I put it somewhere safe before I had the trip to St. Louis. The
All right.
problem is I've forgotten where that safe place was, and now I can't now I can't
Oh no,
find it.
you've hit it
So
too well. That's what you
oh,
did, right?
so it's misplaced somewhere in my house, and it's
Right.
it's really annoying me because I hate to lose stuff.
Well, I'll do
Uh,
you a favor. I've got one here so we can show people.
yeah,
So the
because
Midnight Manager has just got this little button where the shield is.
yeah,
That's what makes this one particularly unique. And you hit the button and it turns
yeah.
on the flashlight.
And for me, that for me is like perfection in a small package
Yeah.
because it has the pen and the light and the nail
Right.
file and the small blade and the scissors and the combination tool.
Right.
And I'm missing it so much because I literally used it 2 or 3 times a day. Yeah, and
Combi
it's got
tool.
the cap lifter, and the cap lifter's not bad.
All right.
I've since found out that the one on the Gerber dime is like one of the best mini cap lifters. Yeah, it's just in my mind that is my near perfect Victorinox in for
Right.
small ones. If I don't find this one at home in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have to buy one because I keep reaching for it and it's not there. And I
Yeah.
carry the Pioneer, and that's got some things, but not everything. And
Just imagine
oh,
how dumb you're going to feel when you find it one day because
yeah,
you're going to be
well,
like,
I have one I can give to somebody, so it's not. I'm just missing it sort of too much. Right, let's get to the keep, carry, scrap part of this. So you haven't seen this. Let me just get it set up to show. Right, so I've got it all prepared. And as I explained with this, I'm going to show you 3 knives. One is for keeping, as we said, pristine. You're not allowed to use it. One is an everyday carry, so you're sort of expected to use it. and one you have to get rid of. So I've got scrap, but I think in reality you would give it to somebody, you know.
Okay.
So here they are.
Okay. So you told me that Randy has told you that I like sow bellies, and that's where we got here, huh? Okay.
Yes, is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely
Well,
do
sorry,
love.
I
Yeah.
thought sow bellies, but I just sort of confirmed with
Okay.
Randy
All right.
just to make sure, because I
Well,
have
this is actually pretty easy for me.
I think so, because
Yeah.
this one I found on eBay. The other two um, are on Amazon. So
Mhm.
this is one of the exotic Tony Bowes
Right.
ones, and it's in giraffe bone. I don't know
Right.
if you're happy about giraffes. I'm sure giraffes weren't injured in the production of this. They
No, I
probably
would.
picked an
No.
old one. I didn't even know this was a thing until I was looking at French knives, and the French seem to like some quite exotic
Bone
bones.
materials. Yeah.
And so yeah, so there's that one. There's the case sour belly barn board jig in old red bone, and
Mhm.
then there's the case cutlery sour belly patriotic. Because I thought, well, obviously you're from the US, I wasn't sure how you would feel about that. So talk me through your choices then, John.
Okay, so let's talk this out a little bit. So you got the giraffe bone, and I've already kind of spoken on how I typically don't want to carry a real exotic bone or something like that that may chip at the pins
Yeah,
or crack at the pins if you drop it. So I'm more apt to keep the giraffe bone there. Now the middle one's boned as well, but that's a more recent case that's just come out, within the last year. So I'd probably just be more apt to carry that one. And the uh, billboarding on the blade and the patriotic thing is just something better for a flag to be displayed outside, not on your knife.
yeah,
Not a massive fan of like the sort of billboarded style designs, so I'd probably scrap or give that one away.
yeah. How do you feel about the sort of the limited edition billboarding on the blades that you get with them?
Well, like this middle one here, that's a
Yeah,
limited
yeah,
edition. I don't really have a whole lot of disdain for the etching on it if it's fairly plain and nondescript. But as a general rule, I would usually prefer blades that don't have them. So it's just
yeah.
it's just kind of depends case by case basis, I guess. No pun intended.
No, understood. I think that pretty much worked out how I thought it was, and you've obviously picked the more expensive one, which I think was about $300,
Yeah.
um, and the other the middle one is about 120, and the slightly garish uh, patriotic one. Not
Mhm.
that I'm suggesting that you're not patriotic, John, but
No, 100%. I mean, like uh, got an American flag up there. I mean, there you
yeah,
have that. So,
it doesn't have to go into all of your pocket carriers, as it
no,
were.
I don't need to lavish in it with
Yeah, but
my
but
pocket.
even that was $84, which seemed
Yeah,
quite a lot
well,
to me. But
they're not inexpensive knives anymore.
yeah,
That's a base price for the sow belly at this point, $85.
yeah, okay. So that's great. One last question then. Let me
Hmm.
just get us back to this. And so, what do you want to do with your channel for the future?
Well, first and foremost, I want to make sure that I'm producing more videos. I'm not where I want to be with that.
Yeah,
Uh, Need to maybe even streamline the process a little bit more because I don't think, at least not for the next couple of years, I see myself having much more time. Maybe down the road I will, but I
yeah,
really like to try to focus on just getting more videos up on a more frequent basis. To me, that's priority number one.
yeah,
Also, would probably like to just sort of explore some different formats, get more into um, maybe some shorts, but do them in a way that I really enjoy, not not what I'm really seeing in the knife community right now. Does not excite me in terms of shorts. So if there's something that can be done there, I'd like to kind of innovate that idea and come up with something with unique. I don't know if it's possible, but in general, just continue to do the lives. I have so much fun doing that, and just start, occasionally bringing people on like I did today with Patty.
Yeah.
We'll probably try to hit on, just about every name in the community at some point.
Well, if you ever want me to come on, I can let me know. I'm a little bit limited with knives, but I have a few, and and just shutting me up is the problem, as I think Paddy probably found. But I thought it was good. I thought it was good having Andy Armstrong on as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was good. I think there are a lot of people that were really excited about the new stuff coming through, so I thought that was great to do that.
Well, I was glad that he, opted to use us to kind of share some of the new information with. So that was really, a pleasure for us to show. And he's just been so welcoming and open. Really had really good rapport with him when we were on the live. So hopefully he'll come back at some point when he's talked about round 4 releases this last show. And now, when round 5 comes out, hopefully he'll come back and talk more about it with us then.
Yeah, I think that's good. And I think, because I don't know, do they have their own YouTube?
They do, but it's pretty limited. They don't do much with it. Yeah. I think he would prefer, to not have to worry about it. He's got other things to concern himself with than then to have a whole media department.
It's sort of free advertising, isn't it?
So. Yeah. Well, my thing is, like, even if you look at SMKW, they've got an entire group of employees that are devoted to doing just the media relations. Yeah. So all the YouTube content, I mean, he would need to hire. Well, they're not Andy, because he's not the boss man, but the company as a whole would have to bring on people to achieve the kind of, I guess, type of media presence that, say, SMKW has, or any of these other retailers like Knife Center or whoever, who have people who are devoted to doing that all the time. But he has the talent to do it. He was on with SMKW when they had their stuff. So, he's not opposed to being.
He's been on the show with Jake and Tim as well, hasn't he?
Yes. The Just the Tip show with Jake and Tim. Yeah. That's an Uncommon EDC, Jake. And, and Tim is Tim's School of Fish. So check those channels out.
Yeah. They're both really good. And because I think the Knife Center has a show with this one guy.
They do, right? And he goes all the shows and does episode sit downs with I know Boker in particular. The guy he's done several with them that were really interesting. And you don't get to see a lot of like Boker content, because I don't know, that stuff just doesn't pop up in my feed with the German stuff. It's probably just because YouTube's pushing just American stuff to me.
Could be.
But when I hear the, like the insider Boker stuff, that's really interesting to me.
Yeah, I like to see some of the ones about how they're made, and I think Victorinox could do a lot more. I'm a little bit disappointed with Victorinox that they haven't brought out a lot of innovations and things.
But let's be fair. I mean, do they need that much help? I mean, they're selling left and right.
Yeah, I think I mean, my view is, I think there is a Victorinox out there for everybody. I think really, if you just show the right ones. But I think there were just some things that I think, so having the can opener and the cap lifter, having those on almost every knife, across different sizes. I think they could maybe change that a bit. I would prefer if they had just a combination tool and maybe maybe the new package opener. Yeah. But they've been very, very sort of careful. They've only put that onto the higher value knives, and they seem to be getting a bit sort of lifestyle like with some of their things, because they have other things as well as knives. But I'd like to see a few more innovations with some of the knives and some different things, rather than just discontinuing a lot, which they've done. But that they must be one of the most one of the most successful knife makers. So who am I to say they're doing
Right.
it wrong?
That's kind of where I'm at with them. I'm just like, they don't really have to do much advertising. The knives pretty much are just so ingrained into the culture that, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a Kleenex. I mean, why they
Yeah.
call them a Kleenex?
Yeah.
You call a Swiss Army knife a Swiss Army knife, but really, that could mean a lot of things. That could mean
Yeah.
a lot of different brands. That could, that's how, when you reach that layer of popularity and the
Yeah.
brand no longer matters because people just associate it with the Swiss Army knife. You've reached a different
Yeah.
sort of level of,
It's hard to compete, isn't it? It's hard to
yeah.
compete on quality and price point for that.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Right.
seen some that are more expensive or some that are really cheap and just don't have the quality. So it's quite
It's
hard.
kind of like the Buck 110 in that regard, right? I mean, you've got knockoffs that people just call, a buck knife, or,
Yes.
maybe not quite like it was in, say, the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
But, with modern knives, I think the popularity of the 110s maybe dropped slightly, but it's still extremely well known. And yeah, they don't, like Buck, they don't have to do a tremendous amount of media, but, they do still do interviews and they go to trade shows and things like that. So it's not like they're not out there at all, but yeah, they don't advertise quite the same way that some of these others do.
Yeah. So we've reached the end of the questions. So thanks for that, John. It's been really good having this chat. It's nice to find a bit more out about you that sometimes we don't hear in some of the things. And do you want to just give a plug for your live show and your channel just before we leave?
So the channel is called Thrifty Kniffy. You can see it on YouTube. The same name. It's not Thrifty Kniffy, which I hear a lot of people mispronounce.
Yeah.
It's Kniffy, 2 F's. And we also have a live show that I do with Slip Joint Sawyer, who has his own independent channel. But we collaborate on a channel each Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Central Time. That's 4 p.m. UK time. Except for a few weeks in there when the time has changed. But for the most part, always at 4:30 p.m. Did I say 4? I meant to say 4:30
Yeah, you said
p.m.
4:30. Yeah, that's
4:30 p.m. UK time, and we can catch you on Sundays. So make sure you check on that out. We have a lot of fun together. Show a lot of different traditional knives. Bring people on interviews.
Yeah.
People in the community.
And there's a giveaway. That's
we generally have a giveaway. Not every week, but most weeks.
But most
now, I will say that there's an exception. Next week, we won't be doing a show.
Yeah.
I'm going to be traveling, and Matt's going to be at work on that particular Sunday. So maybe 2 or 3 weeks time before our next show. Not 100% sure about the second week.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, people can and catch up. And one of the great things about watching them live rather than watching them on catch up is that in the chat it can be a little bit outrageous, but it's normally fun.
A lot of fun.
And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people come on the live shows. Similar to Paddy's live show with Judd,
Right.
the chat's one of the great things that sort of goes along with the show as well. Hopefully, doesn't compete too much with the show, but if you watch a couple of them, it's a whole lot of fun, and there's some great guys in the chat as well. So great shows.
We try to always make a point to focus on chat and make the show as interactive as we can without it, like you say, getting in the way.
Yeah.
We still got to steer the ship, but we'll take a pit stop here and there to acknowledge some things that are being said. So yeah, we always appreciate all of our commenters, and we hope that every time that they come in, it's an experience for them, not only to chat amongst themselves, but to chat with both Slippy and I and whoever may be on with us.
Yeah, no, it's great. I wholeheartedly recommend it. I wish I had a show as good as that myself, but maybe there's time for that. Okay, that's great. Thanks then, John. So if you can stay on afterwards, that'd be great. Just have a quick chat. Just like to thank everybody for watching. Hopefully you've got this far, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks again, and speak soon. Thanks. Bye.